Hello and welcome back to the GYO Grow Your Own Piano course. This is lesson number 5, Chords Part 2. So last time we talked about chords as these kind of nodes that create neighborhoods, so to speak, through which different scales can run. We talked about essentially building a chord out of the scale degrees or the numbers of the scale, just skipping a note on a scale and then playing that note and the first note simultaneously, skipping another note, playing all three of those notes simultaneously. We built a triad. So that's our C triad. Let's go to the bottom one of our 3 black keys, the F sharp. And then we're going to do an F sharp major, so it's 2, 2, 1, 2, 2, 2, 1. So let's go up 2, 2, 1, 2, 2, 2, 1. Do, re, mi. Alright, so let's start our 1. Now remember, the numbers that I just threw out are the spaces in between the notes. Now don't get confused, I'm throwing in a whole new numbering system. At the very beginning of your learning, that 2, 2, 1, 2, 2, 2, 1 is crucial. That's a helpful just spacing numbers. 2, 1, 2, 2, 1, 2, 2 for the minor. The numbers that I'm telling you right now are much more important. Those are, we talked a little bit about them last time, scale degrees. So the first note is your 1, second note is your 2, third note is your 3, fourth note is your 4. These are as you go up the scale. Fifth note is your 5, sixth note is your 6, seventh note is your 7. Very self-explanatory. The 8th note is your 1 again. So we're back to the starting point. We're back to our F sharp. Remember our octaves? Okay, so we hit our second octave. Now, this numbering system is the one that you're going to want to remember and you're going to use, I'll tell you right now, throughout your career. If you want to communicate with any musician across the world, it's likely that you can say, go to the 1 or go to the 4, and they will understand what you're saying. So if you're in the key of F sharp, if you're in this neighborhood, right, they say go to that intersection or whatever. We can kind of internationally use that, at least from what I've experienced among jazz musicians. In Europe, I think they use like fa or something like that. So if you know your do, re, mi, fa, so, that's just, fa is the do, re, mi, fa. 4, you can learn those translations. In our side of the pond, we generally use numbers. So to construct a chord, we skip the second number, or the second note, hit the first and the third note, and then skip the fourth note, hit the first and the fifth note on first, third, and fifth. Cool. Now, one cool thing we can do, remember we have this octave phenomenon here. So we go from F sharp to F sharp to F sharp to F sharp. Okay, so remember I was playing like these with both hands too, right? Because you can do the same thing on every octave. So same thing, right? Same notes, but just in a different register. A neat thing we can do is just take our one hand again and play our basic chord. Is flip this bottom note, take our bottom F sharp, and instead of playing that, play the top F sharp that's above all this. So the next one that you get to, or the 8. And that, my friends, is what's known as your first inversion. You inverted the chord. It was 1, 3, 5. Now it's 3, 5, 1. We can do it again. We can take the 3 on the bottom and put it on the top. So the 3 is the B flat. That's the top of the 3 black keys. We're going to go to the next set of black keys on the right above it and hit that top of the 3 black keys. And now we've got another, what we call F sharp major chord. You don't have to remember that, but remember that sound is a major sound. Again, that's where we're connecting sound to feeling. And this pattern of 1, 3, 5, going up our major scale, our 2, 2, 1, 2, 2, 2, 1 scale, is the, now we're on the second inversion of that chord. So the first inversion, root position. Root position just means you're starting off with the basis, the home point or the starting point. Your road to wherever you're going has a starting point, and the character of neighborhood, however you want to, you can think of it in a lot of different ways, but essentially, I'll let go of that architectural metaphor because it's getting twisted here. but I think hopefully that helps you kind of understand in general that you know chords from the basis of something create a sense of almost a house or a structure in which other things can move around. So we want to be able to keep those structures fluid if we can to some extent, still structured, but be able to adjust them as necessary. So that's one of the reasons we use inversions. We spice up our chords, right? This does not sound the same as this. Does not sound the same as this. They're the same chord, the same three notes, but played in slightly different registers or arrangements, and that gives it a different feel. So go ahead and practice major and minor triads, three-note chords, and then practice inverting them. Just take the bottom note and put it on top. If you can do this in all 12 scales, you're my hero. Please, if you just want to start with one, at least you'll get the concept. But if you really want to be a badass piano player, what you're going to do is you're going to learn all of this in all 12 keys, and remember to also use your left hand or your right hand, whichever is your non-dominant hand. Remember to include that in the entire process. So you're playing your scales with both hands. It doesn't have to be simultaneously, not especially not at first. That's what's called in octaves, where you're playing the same notes up and down, separated by an octave or two. Do as much as you can with both hands. So don't just play the triads with your right hand. Play it with your left hand as well. If you can start to combine them, that was my phone. Don't worry about your phone. Got Android. Yeah, you can start to combine using both your hands. So that is the quest, the pathway to mastery, which I am opening to all of you young budding piano players, or old budding piano players, or wherever you are. Man. Okay. No more weird Hallmark endings. Thank you guys. Peace.